Hello everybody and welcome back to another brand new episode here on Holme Wold Farm with me, Mr. Jimmy D. It's a farm sim life for me. It always makes me smile, that. So as you can see, we're just setting up some elevators badly by the looks of things. Right, I think that's under this time. Yep. And we're going to load some sugar beet, but unfortunately we're going to have to maybe go the long way around. That should be high enough with the tractor and trailer. We just need to go get the trailer. So I've been using the 8 Series John Deere. After the last episode, I think I was still drilling. I think I had like another field or 2 fields to drill, so I finished drilling those fields. So the autumn winter drilling program is now complete. So that's good. You know, the crops are in, and hopefully next year we can look forward to a productive harvest. I just need to, just about left enough room. I just need to turn around. Might as well turn around on the grass a bit wider. So yeah, for today's episode we're going to be loading a bit of sugar beet. This isn't going to take all that long, to be fair. We'll stretch that out so that we don't get quite so close to the elevator, because I don't obviously want to knock it with the cab. And we still nearly did, but I think that is over, isn't it? Yeah, that's over. So we're going to load some sugar beet, and then, as I say, just over in that direction is the sugar beet processing plant, and there we will obviously be putting our sugar beet in. Is that working? Yep. Is that working the other way? Yep, good. I've just bought these elevators, so they're not on hire or anything like that. They're going to be really handy for, as I say, for unloading or for loading the sugar beet into the trailers, so that we can then take the sugar beet to the excuse me, to the sugar beet processing plant. It looks as if that trailer's full. Nope. That's one thing I haven't envisaged on, so we're going to have to do that. And then move the other one back. That seems I thought it would have a little bit more of a sort of reach on it. Wrong way. We need to go the other way. We need to get that in line. That looks in line about there, do you think? And then we need to bring the, oh dear. Oh, yeah, that's the tractor that we wanted. Need to now get into this one, and then we need to raise that up a little bit, just so that the tractor can actually get through there. Yeah, this is going to be an issue. This is not quite as I had envisaged this. As I say, I thought that had a little bit more reach on it, because this is going to get frustrating if I have to keep pushing these up. Very frustrating very quickly. I hadn't envisaged this. I thought, if I'm honest, this was going to go without a hitch really. Turns out that's probably not going to be the case. Although that should hold it for a bit. Or not, apparently. Well, I think it's fair to say teething problems may be happening here. I may have to rethink my strategy on that one. Anyway, we'll put what little we've got into the sugar beet processing plant now. We should be able to get through there, yeah. And then we'll have to sort of re-look at that. Probably going to have to go back to the forklift and loading it that way. I was going to get a roper mouse, to be fair, but I kind of felt that was taking a sledgehammer to crack a nut, and that's kind of why I didn't take it. But maybe the farm needs to borrow one for. The problem is I only need it for a couple of loads because this only holds. I think it's about 3 trailerfuls of this Bailey trailer. So. But anyway, there's enough in there to get it going again, so. There's enough sugar beet. Oh. Do you have to have the engine running then, or do I have to be in the cab? I have to be in the cab. Okay. We can, oh no. Is it too far? Or not far enough? Anyway, that's the trailer empty. So we'll just have a little look because it does pop up what's in there. Sugar beets. So we put 21% in there, so that's okay. Right, we've got some sugar there that we can obviously soon sell. We've got some molasses there. That's obviously going to go into here with the pulp. Because I'm sure that produces pulp. Yes, it does. So yeah, with the pulp, and then that will go in there, and then obviously we'll make feed pellets, which we've already made one pallet. And that's another one. We've got plenty of sugar beet. We've got loads of bloody sugar beet, so we're not going to be running out of sugar beet for a while. Yeah, we'll be okay. Right. I'm going to quickly run all the way back down to my tractor because I didn't bring a vehicle to get me back to my tractor, mainly because I'm working pretty much on the farm by myself today. My 2 helpers are one's on holiday for the day and the other one is elsewhere. So last night when I finished, I was going to bring the tractor back, but I sort of thought, well, I'll leave it in the field. So obviously from the house, because I live up near the cow farm, that house is quite near to where the tractor is. We've also got as well, I noticed I'd missed a field of straw, so at some point today I'm going to need, today really, because otherwise I think it's going to disappear. We need the pelletizer because we can make pellets out of them, straw pellets out of them. And we can either sell the pellets or keep them as bedding. And also as well at some point as well, probably today, we need to empty the poo out of the cow shed because that is getting rather full, I've noticed. But yeah, I tend not to tab along if I can help it. Sometimes you know you have to, especially if I'm trying to simulate two separate drivers. But on this occasion, I haven't got a second driver. As I say, one's on holiday and the other one's elsewhere, so it's just me today. There's a bit of a run down there, but yeah, so. But I'm really enjoying this save game, to be fair. I've been playing this now for probably about 6-7 months. I did sort of stop playing it for a little bit, and then got back into it when I started doing the YouTube videos, because I just sort of thought it would be an interesting save game to do. And the thing that I was sort of talking about the other day in terms of the 22 version with Terra Farm, so stuff like these hills and that, you know, we're able to sort of flatten these out and make the ground level. But we've got a couple of choices, because with the muck that we get from these hills here, over in that direction, those trees right, hang on, I'll get up the top of that hill and you can see them. So the trees right up there in the distance, well, that ground is hilly, but also really there's like massive pits in it. So we could use the muck from these hills, put them in the trailers, cart them over there, tip them into the pits, and then level the ground that way. I just think it just makes a different sort of gameplay, and those sort of jobs I'd only be doing in the winter time anyway. I wouldn't really be doing them in the height of you know, sort of the farming year. As you know, I like to sort of start from nothing and work my way up, because it has got carrots and beetroot on the built into the map already. Then obviously the Platinum DLC is going to work there, which is really good, and is obviously going to help with gameplay. My vent that I've been using is somewhere around here. Is it this field? Just going to have to jump up on the hedge, see if I can see it. I think it was in this field, or was it that field? Oh, no, it was this field. I literally, because I live in that house just over there where we were looking at the hills. There's a house there, and that's where I live. And I thought, well, it's only a short walk around, but I had a walk down to the other farm where we were just loading the sugar beets to just check, because obviously I want the feed pellets quite quickly, because we are running out of food. Because I didn't make too much in the way of silage and total mixed rations, because I wanted to try this food from using the sugar beet, getting the sugar and from the sugar beets, and then the pulp and the molasses, and then making let's put some lights on the show and we can see where we're going then. I think we can pull this a bit quicker in this tractor. And yeah, so I wanted to sort of do the feed pellets and see whether that was a way of doing it, because then I can sell all the hay pellets that I make from my grass, and we can also sell all of the silage. We can maybe put up some like biogas, our own biogas plant, and sell all the silage, and it's just, again, another aspect and another different sort of style of gameplay. The other thing as well is that I eventually will be getting sheep, and I will be getting pigs. So again, that will give us some other things to do. I'm just going to put it on 5 for a minute, because I do like it be a little bit brighter in the day, but we will move it back down to 1, because so we have an awful lot of land, and for the most part there is only me that has to go through this land. And as I say, I've got not that the ploughing really matters if I go over, to be fair, but when I'm drilling, because originally my plan was yesterday when I got the wheat drilled, it's like, oh, I'll come here, I'll put oats in here, and then I thought, well, yeah, I can still put oats in because they're worth quite a bit of money, and obviously the straw will be handy for us. So I thought, yeah, I can still put oats in, but I'll plant them in the in the spring, and then that gives us a little bit more spring work. I mean, we are going to have lots of spring work anyway, because we're going to have fields of sugar beet to plant, potatoes, oats now, so there's going to be more than enough to do. Corn, just in case we do need some extra silage, as well as the feed pellets, because it's just a case of how quickly I can make them. Once you kind of get the animal feed area full, which for now I can keep going with the other food that I've got, because I've got enough of it to keep it going. But what I want to do is I want to get the feed pellets in stock, so we start building a stock, so that we can't run out of them, but we're obviously continually always making more. So the plan, obviously, for the spring will be that we will probably, before I was only going to have like a field of sugar beets, because it can take a while to harvest on these big fields, but now we're going to need sort of 2, 3, 4 fields of sugar beet to be able to produce the sugar that I want to produce, because the sugar on its own is worth more than the sugar beet, but also as well because that also means that I can produce the feed pellets, which then obviously helps the animals. So it's it's sort of all relative in the end. So we're going to be a lot busier in the spring than initially what I kind of thought, because my kind of plan for the spring was where we can put some corn in. If we don't need the silage, we can have the corn to sell as a crop. But if we do need the silage, obviously, it's there, and then we'd obviously just plant the 5 fields of potatoes, because we are going to be a predominant potato farm in the future. Obviously, we've had potatoes this year that you saw me harvesting a field of, and we do 2 headlands with this John Deere. It's like a disc arrow, but obviously it leaves the ploughed texture. But I do like it because of its width. But I keep forgetting, because for some reason on 19 my one button that I use to raise and lower my implements has stopped working. But the button works absolutely fine on 22. I program it to it. It's programmed to number 1. But number 1 won't operate it, so I have to use it with my joystick on the Cytec side panel. I don't know what's going on, because the number 1 button, as I said in my last video, the Cytec button combination or configuration is exactly the same for 19 as it is for 22. That way I can flip between the 2 games, and I don't have to remember new button combinations. It took an absolute age to do, but it was well worth doing, and I highly recommend doing that if there's anyone out there that's got the Cytec that does play both games and doesn't have it set up the same way. Honestly, it's a godsend, because initially it was set up a little bit differently, but I was kind of like, oh, I can never remember the blooming combination between games. So in the end I just thought, you know what, sod it, I'm going to put everything on both games the same. That way I don't have to remember, I only have to remember one set of combinations for 2 games, basically. And for those of you that also don't know, and I may be teaching some of you to suck eggs here, but the side panel actually works for Euro Truck as well. Now I don't actually have Euro Truck installed. I have got the game. I've got it on Steam, but so I have got the game, but I haven't currently got it installed. But I was kind of sort of wondering whether, and again I realised that not too many people are watching the videos at the moment, which is fine. As I say, I'm a new channel and everything, but in the comments, for those of you that you do, if you would like to see me do a Euro Truck series where I start from scratch and try and build up, and whether we start off as a UK sort of truck hauler, and then say at 5 trucks we're allowed to go into say France and sort of immediate European countries, and then progress it. I don't have all of the DLCs because it's a game that, although I do like and I do sort of play it, I don't play it as much as what I play farming. Farming is pretty much what I spend my day doing. And as I've explained before, it's because I worked on a farm before my heart condition got a lot worse. I worked on a farm, and this time of year is very difficult for me because I see all the tractors and combines and everything out in the fields, and I just think that should be me. I do sometimes feel a little bit of a fraud, but I can't help what's wrong with me, but I do feel bad, and I think I should be out there, earning that money, providing, sort of for my family and that, but I just can't. I did try it for about 12 months. I tried to carry on working on the farm. To be fair to the farm, they made an awful lot of changes to try and help me, to keep me. So I literally would only do tractor driving jobs so I could be sat down for most of the day. But honestly, getting in the tractor and out of the tractor, sort of first thing in the morning and then throughout the day, because it's the type of job where you can't just sit on your seat all day. Things do happen, things do need adjusting and whatever to do, a proper job, and it was just exhausting me. I was getting to sort of, about 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was having to stop and have a sleep because I was just exhausted. I was so tired. And it just wasn't practical, and the farm just sort of said to me, look, we understand that you've obviously got your heart condition, and we understand that it exhausts you and you need to sleep and that, but we can't have you sleeping sort of in the day. It's fine in the winter when you're out in the field and you're ploughing, you're by yourself and whatever, but in the we need you drilling, we need you doing other jobs, and obviously it was a big farm. There's like 5,000 acres owned, and then 2,500 acres of rented land, which has been increased again since I've left. So it was a big farm, and they said, like, when we're drilling, we're drilling, and we need to get it done, because the windows are short, in terms of sort of wet weather and stuff. So we need you to be getting on with it. So I left, and I still tried to work. So I went to Tesco's then for a little bit, but I was sort of getting to midday, 2 o'clock, and I was just exhausted. And since I've been at home, I tend to find that I'm sort of okay, but then I then get tired and have to go and have a sleep and that. So it's just like I say, it's not practical really, but never mind. It is what it is. Onwards and upwards, as they say. But yeah, so we'll get this ploughing done. We've just got this field to do. We've got some straw to do. And then, but we're going to pelletize them. But I am going to have to try and ring around local to see if there's someone that wants to come and drive a tractor and trailer, because I would like to pelletize them, or at the very least bale it and sell the bales. I suppose I could do that, because then I could do that by myself. But yeah, I might actually do that. Actually, I think I've talked myself into that one. So I'll probably do that, and I'll tell you the reason why I'll do it, because again, something different. We can use the bale chaser to collect the bales, so that might make an interesting video, and it's a different job, and it's a job that you don't see too often on sort of YouTube and other platforms, and that's what I sort of try and do. I try and, if I can, I mean, fundamentally the game's the same for everyone. You have to drive tractors and use implements to to grow your crops and what have you. But if I can sort of use mods, or use techniques or whatever that's sort of not widely done, and give you an extra dimension to the game, then yeah, I'd like to do that. And it is the reason why I've carried on playing 19, because there are some wonderful mods for 19 that we just don't have for 22. 22 is a really good game. It's a brilliant game. It's probably the best version of the game yet, but the mods, like course play, doesn't work as it did in 19. That's apart from field work, where I would say they've probably, in my opinion, from my experience of using course play for field work, they've got it probably spot on. I don't tend to have too much trouble with it, but in terms of unloading from the combine, well, that's a waste of time. Silaging's now a waste of time. Trying to set up a simple to and from course is a waste of time, because I save the courses and then I can't find them, or I can't. And honestly, course play has just become a big no-no for me in 22, unless you're just doing a simple field work course, and then it's kind of okay. But as for transport and stuff like that, I can't make head nor tail of it no more. Auto drive's great in 22. That I can use to unload the combine. It's not perfect. It's not brilliant in any way. I've now got it set up and working for the for the potato harvester. Which one's that? It's the Ventor in it. So the self-propelled potato harvester, I've now got it so that it will run alongside that potato harvester. And the good thing about auto drive, actually, to be fair, is that at the end of when it gets towards the end of the road, we'll stop and then reverse a little bit like you would in real life, and then let me come out, get myself into the next row, and then it will sort of come over and start again. And because that potato harvester's got a little bit of a tank on it, it doesn't matter that it's not under straight away. Whereas obviously in 19 I use the GT170. You need the cart under it straight away, because otherwise you're going to be dropping potatoes on the floor potentially. Not straight away. You can stop the unloading belt from doing that, but eventually that's what's going to happen. Yeah, so as I say, it swings and roundabouts, I suppose, with both games, but this game is, for me, with the straw mod, course play works as it should. Don't use auto drive in 19, mainly because I can't get that working in 19, which is just like a role reversal. But we've got Terra Farm and stuff in 22, and that for me has changed the game unbelievably. And again, you saw a lot of it. It's a bit like Court Farms. It came out. There's a 1,000,001 YouTubers doing loads of stuff with it, and then it will just disappear, never to be seen from again. And it's the same with Terra Farm. I sort of watch all the usual regular YouTubers, the same as everyone else, and it's kind of like none of them even mention the mod anymore, let alone do anything with it. So I just thought it'd be cool for 22, if we do a lot of that, and and we do other stuff that, as I say, sort of people are not doing, and try and keep it interesting if I can, really. As I say, I'm sort of doing the videos really predominantly for myself now. Not sort of getting too worried about views and one or two negative comments that I sort of had. Yeah, so I'm not really worrying too much now about any of that, right? 9:30 in the morning, I think we can safely put that back down to 1. We can see what we're doing now. So I know we've already done this, but we're going down so I don't leave compaction. It's just disking it over, so taking the wheelings out basically, because we need to get to the end of the field there. We're going to take this plough is on hire, the tractor's on hire, pretty much everything that's on hire will be going back today, because the higher price that we're paying at the moment for everything is costing the farm an absolute fortune, and we do need to start committing to what we're going to be doing for the future. Are we going to be switching over to vents? Are we going to be changing our implements, our cultivation and drilling implements, over to Vertistat? Are we sticking with John Deere? Etc, etc. I now need to sort of make that decision, because there is a small part of me that does still want to stick with John Deere. John Deere and Challenger is what I used on the farm. They were, you know, I had a John Deere wheel tractor, I had a 7 Series John Deere wheel tractor, and I had Challenger. Started off with the MT765, and then in the last year, 2 years, I moved over to an MT865, or 875 I think it was actually, and that I did had an 18 for a plough on that, and a trailed plough semi-mounted, and I also did the drilling where I had a 9 metre Verdestat and did the drilling on that. So and then in the summer months, again for the last couple of years, I had a Lexion 700 combine. So I used to there was we had 3 combines, but the third combine which I drove only came because we were 2, and then the year before we got the third 700 Lexion was a very wet year, and we didn't get all of our, we did get our crops in, but they were very wet, and a lot of them went off very quickly, and the farm had some huge losses. And so the decision was made, you know, to avoid that in the future, that they would go 3 combines. And I think this year they've moved over to a Lexion 8900 and a John Deere X9. I saw as I went by one day and there was an X9. So I'm assuming that they've either had both on hire to see, you know, to see over the course of a summer which was the better one, and then that's going to be the way they go, because the X9 is just an awesome combine, but so too is the class. I've been in a Class 8900 and I've had a ride in one, but I've not been in an X9. I've sat in one at the Raw Norfolk show this year, but I've not sat in one that's been working or operated. But yeah, so anyway, I just thought I'd come back here and show you the poo, and we do need to clean this out. We have got some farm expansion plans. I've blocked the gate off. Yeah, we have got some farm expansion plans down here, which basically consist of, we're going to be taking this pet out because the poo obviously doesn't gather here. Originally I was going to use it for, I can't get through that way either because of the trees. So originally, ignore me. I didn't jump that wall, you didn't see a thing. I'm back in the bloody car barn. We're going to have to leap another wall. Yeah, so we're going to get rid of, I was going to originally, as I say, put my straw pellets in here and then bed the cows with the pellets, but I quite like using that machine. But we'll see anyway. But as I say, we've got the poo to move because there's quite a bit of poo there. We've clearly got enough feed in there, which is great. But yeah, so we're going to move that pit. I think that's going to go, and that is going to be the new gateway into the farm. So with the there's an old pallet there. With the furrow, if you look, so where those tractors are, so we're going to have a gateway coming out where that pit is, and it will then run out and then round to the road, and so you'll be able to cut all the way across there and get into the farm this way, mainly because the gates are too tight. You can't get your machinery in there. I do want to use this farm for storing machinery. And then here, and this is not a definite at the moment, but here we're going to come through here, so that's going to be like a, you know, the gangway into this field, and then we're going to block that end off. Well, not block it off, but because I don't think it's gated, so it will be gated at this end here. So then we can have those gates open all the time, and the cows are free to sort of travel backwards and forwards because they can't get out this way. And then here we'll probably have like if the feed pellets work, we'll have the biogas and stuff here. We'll have other sort of factory productions here as well. and you know, that we'll sort of do that. 22 is going to be sort of quite factory orientated, so you know, sort of this isn't going to be nowhere near as orientated in terms of factory and productions. Well, there's some hay there. As what 22 is, but we will have bits and pieces because you know it's again it's you know something different and worth doing. So these barns, once they get emptied, we can sort of take this one down because they're sort of flat pack. We can bolt them together and unbolt them and sort of move them as long as we don't bend the frames. These sheds, these straw barns, are going to be moved when we get this emptied, which is going to take a while, but when we get them emptied, this is going, so this shed here is going. These are our feed pellets, so we're sort of tipping these in, but they're not as good as total mixed ration. So that's all going to go. So obviously all that area there is going to be free. Potentially that sort of shed there, or whatever you want to sort of refer to it as, is going to go. So this will all then be open. These pits are probably going to go, and the reason they're probably going to go is because we can put some out there and we'll have a lot more room for them. This shed here is going to go eventually. I know, eventually this hedge is going to go. These pits, this is where I was telling you where all the pits were. So on 22 we can fill all these pits in. On 19 we can't really do that, but we've got rid of the hedge here, so we've now made quite a big field of grass here, which obviously we're going to use for the hay pellets. I probably can go into Giant's Editor on this version of the game and do the filling in of the pits and the removing of hills, and then we will either hedge it or fence it along here, because obviously that's where, you know, part of the near the farm is where we're going to have some like storage sheds and stuff like that. And then what we're going to do is, where the other end where the sugar beet is, all of those sheds there are going to go, and we're going to put up proper grain stores. And we're going to start sort of doing, rather than having silos to do everything, we're going to have grain stores. But this, we're talking, this is over years. This isn't going to be done straight away, because as I say, we've got 1.86 million, as you can see. And the reason why I'm leaving all the HUDs up now, and the times and the dates and everything, is because one or two messages that I had was, oh, you say you're going to do it realistic, and all you're doing is just adding money to the game, and then oh, we've sold some pellets or whatever because they're not worth that much, etc, etc. So basically I've left it all up there. You can see how I play the game. I don't add money because I wouldn't be able to play the game if I added money, because what's the point? If you're going to add money, I may as well just say, do you know what, we're just going to knock all that down, we're going to do exactly what we want, we're going to rebuild that farm over there, we're going to buy every field, we're going to have the biggest machinery, and that's what we're going to do. But there's no point playing the game that way, because the game is going to get very boring and repetitive very quickly playing it that way. So I want you to see that I do it properly, and we have got an awful lot of pellets down there that we do need to sell down that little yard there at the back of the house. That's the house where I live. At the back there's a little yard at the back there, that's where we store the pellets. We've got lots that we need to get rid of, because they're calling in some of the contract that we have with them. The plan eventually is that all of the land, or most of the land out here, will be all grass, and it will all be pelleted. The hope would be it would be pelleted twice a year. I don't think that's going to be possible with the way that this season's works. So all of this grass, you sort of pellet 1 year, then the second cut in the autumn. Now we will be mowing it, rowing it, and silaging it, and then that will go into biogas plants. The reason it will go into the biogas plant is because that will keep trickling us money in all of the time. We will also do some of the new sawmill thing, so we're going to have an area where we're going to plant loads of poplars, get the sawmill up and running where we can make planks and different things. Again, that's going to give us a different way to play the game. And also it means we can also have the furnaces for the wood chips and the silage and stuff like that. We can have seed making machines so we can grow a crop that specifically will be our seeds so that we don't have to buy the seeds in. You know, fertilizers with all of the manure and stuff like that, and the liquid manure, because it's unlikely that I'm going to spend the time spreading it on the fields. But who knows, you know, if that's something that you guys want to see, you know, just message and say, no, actually, we'd quite like to see that. You know, and we want you to use this mod or whatever, or you know, whatever, you know, just let me know. But so that's why the HUD's all up, is literally because everyone sort of, well, not everyone, but the few comments that some of my videos were getting was, you know, oh, you're just editing money in, and you're going to buy all vents and just put the money in and blah blah blah, because you never show how much you've got. So there it is, it's all there, you know, the screen can't lie, you know. And yeah, with 1.8 million, I do want this tractor. I do want the other vent. I do want the drill that goes on the back there. I want that. I do want a combine. I do want a new sprayer. I want to upgrade the farm. I want to move this farm to the next level. You know, from when I started the game, the save game, you know, we had a couple of fields. You know, we had basically so here, we had this bit here, we had the field out the back there, and this field down here, and the cow pen, and that was all we had. You know, with that grass, I had to make silage, you know, so I could make the food for the cows. But I also needed to make pellets, because that was what I wanted to sort of. That was the sort of, if you like, diversity of the farm, you know, that we were basically a pellet. You know, we produced them and we sold them, and we had a contractor fulfill each year, and you know, we had to do it, and that was all it literally started with. So I'm now into my second year on the farm, you know, and through hard work and proper graft and a little bit of contracting, you know, I now own this. You know, all of these, well, apart from those two, but these fields here, all the way down there, all the way across there, all the way along there. You know, my plan is that at some point, you know, I want to buy these fields and move it across there, and I basically want to buy all the fields up to this road, and then the same along here, and then it will be the fields in there, and I try to buy sections if I can. So my plan, let's say these were the first fields, and I haven't bought those two, but they're quite small fields, and eventually when I need more grass, that's what they will be. And then these fields here, and as I say, like, you know, and that's through hard work and selling and, you know, grafting and putting the hours in, and you know, whatever. So I, you know, I just kind of want everyone to see that I am doing it, as I say. And with the 1.86 million, that's everything that I want to do, and I can't do everything this year. You know, yes, we're going to raise some money from the pellets. Yes, we're going to make some money from the straw pellets when we come to sell them. You know, so that will bring a little bit of extra money in over the winter period. And that was basically, again, you know, why I was doing it, because it's okay sort of growing crops and sort of making the money, but a farm is forever spending money, you know, on the cows, and you know, and occasionally you'll get a miscellaneous pop-up that will say minus, you know, sort of £5,000 or whatever, and that's because I've simulated paying vets bills and insurances and stuff like that, you know. But as I say, at the moment, the big thing for me is I want to make my mind up with how we're going to progress the equipment. Once we've moved the equipment forward and got it up to a large enough standard, if you like, because the plan is that I'm going to upgrade the equipment, and it might not all be brand new, you know, some of this stuff might be second hand, but once we've got the equipment upgraded, then we're looking at a mass land expansion, farm expansions. I don't want to change that equipment then for several years. You know, I sort of want to get a team of equipment together and keep it together, and that's got to look after the farm. That's got to be efficient enough to run this farm, not only the size it is now, but also, you know, sort of bigger and better in the future. And so that's sort of my plans and my long-term aim for this save. But anyway, this video has gone on plenty long enough, 45 minutes. So I'm going to say thank you ever so much for watching, and I hope to see you again in the next episode, which fingers crossed will be tomorrow. And I'll see you there. Thanks very much. Bye.